The movie starts like many Tim Burton films, with a strange and dark intro showing the names of the actors. After that cryptic scene, we see an old lady who seems a bit nostalgic as she looks at the snow outside her house, as if trying to remember something. Her granddaughter tells her she can't sleep, so the old lady decides to tell a story about a man named Edward, who had scissors for hands because his creator died before he could finish him with real hands. The old lady says that this creature lived in the spooky mansion at the end of the mountain. This is where our story really starts. Everything seems to be fine except for a woman named Peg, who sells cosmetics but isn't very successful because people keep shutting the door in her face before she can even start talking.
Come on, Peg, I never buy anything from you, you know that. Bye.
Bye, Helen.
After knocking on several doors without selling a single product, Peg gets tired and decides to visit the big mansion on the hill. She is extremely surprised because not only is the place very strange, but it also has bushes trimmed into different shapes, giving life to the place. A nice touch since everything else is quite gloomy. Thinking she might finally sell some products, Peg decides to enter the house. But she starts to feel that something is off, and that it seems a bit haunted. After seeing a strange collage on the wall of a boy without eyes, Peg meets the monster, Edward Scissorhands.
You don't have to hide from me. I'm Peg Boggs. Oh my. I'll just be going now.
Don't go.
What happened to you?
I'm not finished.
Put those down. Don't come any closer.
Although his face and appearance initially frighten us, we soon realize he is completely innocent, and we end up feeling moved just like Peg. Peg decides to take him home as if he were a pet or something because she feels sorry for him being all alone in such a big mansion.
I think you should just come home with me.
So after trying to cover all his facial scars with the Avon makeup she sells, finally, she takes him with her. And since some of the neighbors don't have time to buy anything but do have time to gossip, they immediately start making guesses about who the man with Peg in the car might be.
I was standing outside and I was talking to Carol, and Peg drove by, and she had somebody with her in the car.
Did you get a good look at it?
Meanwhile, Edward can't hide his joy at finally leaving his house and finding company in such a lonely town. He is especially happy when he sees Peg's family photos, particularly the one of her daughter, Kim. After realizing he had fallen in love at first sight, he decides to settle into his new room and put on more presentable clothes. Meanwhile, Peg starts handling calls from her gossiping neighbors, but ends up telling them the whole truth about Edward and his scissor hands. After that, she suggests that Edward visit a doctor to fix his little problem.
I have a doctor friend who I think could help you.
Really?
Yes.
But not before completely covering him with makeup to try to hide his scars again. And so, the days go by with our character trying to socialize and behave like a real human, though he's not very good at it. To make matters worse, Peg's other son, Kevin, and her husband, Bill, keep asking him quite uncomfortable questions whenever they can.
So what have you been doing with yourself up there in that big old place? I bet the view must be spectacular, huh, Ed?
See all the way to the ocean, I bet, huh?
Sometimes.
Those things are cool. I bet they're razor sharp. One karate chop to a guy's neck. Kevin.
Despite all this, Edward finally gets the chance to show off his great talent with scissors. He starts by imitating Bill cutting the grass, and ends up turning the garden into a true work of art.
Well, it's just wonderful, Ed. My God, you have the whole family in there, don't you?
Then, a rather strange woman appears, insisting that Edward is the son of the devil or something like that.
From it, straight from the stinking flames of hell. Can't you, if you poor sheep strayed so far from the path?
We're not sheep.
Don't come near me.
Just like us, the family grew closer to Edward each day, even using him as a knife when they needed to cut food. Edward was earning his place by being very useful. The nosy neighbors eventually convinced Peg to host a barbecue party to bring everyone together and welcome the newcomer to the neighborhood.
What time does the barbecue begin?
Barbecue?
Well, you intend to show your guest hospitality by introducing him to your friends.
Far from going unnoticed, Edward ended up being the center of attention at the party. Several of the neighbors found him really attractive, seduced him, and even fed him to prevent him from hurting himself with his scissors.
Use your help at my place.
Me too.
There you go.
Sorry, ladies, but he's promised to come to my house first.
Our boy was quite lucky. But suddenly, Edward starts remembering his past, and a memory from Vietnam comes to him. A memory that takes us to meet his father, the great Vincent Price, the inventor. There, the man teaches him royal behaviors like when to eat, when to be quiet, and above all, when it's right to do so. We learn that thanks to his expertise in robotics, he created an industrialized cookie baking system. And although his robot provided him with constant food, there was something his icy gears couldn't provide: companionship. So, to fill that void, the inventor created Edward, an automaton unlike any other, one with a human form, and scissor hands that he didn't manage to replace. Same night, Kim returns from vacation with her boyfriend Jim, and just when we thought everyone would be friends with Edward, the opposite happens. For Kim, all she sees is a creepy stranger sleeping in her bed. The trauma was so great for Edward that the only way he can cope is by having a large glass of whiskey with Bill, and as Bill ends up giving him a lecture about teenagers and their craziness.
They reach a certain age, they develop these gland things, bodies swell up.
The next day, Kevin decides to take Edward to his school to give a whole lecture about his history and how his Scissorhands came about, once again making him the center of attention and the most beloved figure in town. That same evening, the whole family gathers for dinner, and while Edward helps with cutting the meal, Kim looks at him oddly, as does her boyfriend Jim, who seems to view him as a threat. But as the days pass, our character starts looking for work, and he decides that cutting grass, grooming dogs, and even trimming the neighbor's hair might be a good idea, much to the satisfaction of all the women in the neighborhood.
Have you ever cut a woman's hair? Would you cut mine? That was the single most thrilling experience of my whole life.
Meanwhile, he becomes even closer to the family, with Peg doing his makeup, taking him to supermarkets, and basically giving him all the love he never had. The only downside is that our character grows increasingly jealous of Kim and Jim's relationship. They not only spend all their time together, but also display their affection openly in front of him. However, over time, Edward becomes a viral sensation, earning the greatest honor an American can have, appearing on television. There, we see a humble and modest Edward gradually winning the love of everyone he has the pleasure of meeting, except for a few odd ones who can't resist trying to intimidate him a little.
Have you ever thought of having corrective surgery or prosthetic? I know a doctor that might be able to help you.
I'd like to meet him.
At least Peg accompanies him and defends him at every moment, making him feel more comfortable than ever.
But if you had regular hands, you'd be like everyone else.
But then no one would think you were special.
No matter what, Edward will always be special.
Meanwhile, Kim and Jim watch everything from the house, and when they ask him if there's someone special in his life, we realize they're both starting to care more about each other from a distance.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Is there some special lady in your life?
After that, our character goes to Joyce's hair salon, where she's desperate to do you-know-what with him. She starts dancing around him, and just as we start wondering how he would manage to touch her, they both stumble, and nothing happens.
Edward, you come back here! You can't do that!
And now he rushes to meet his family for dinner, where his honesty gets the better of him as he ends up telling them all about his adventure with Joyce.
She showed me the back room where she took all of her clothes off.
Edward, I can't tell you how thrilled I am. I'm just as pleased as punch.
Later, our character decides he wants to contribute some money to the family, so he goes to a bank to apply for a loan to finally open his own hair salon. However, things don't go as planned on the way, because he has no ID, no credit score, or anything that identifies him as a real person. And they don't approve anything. Jim is trying to convince Kim to steal some money from her dad, with the sole purpose of buying a truck and having more privacy with her. It seemed like a really healthy relationship, but little by little we started to notice that it was actually quite toxic. Since Edward is crazy about Kim, he agrees to break into that house to help her. But it doesn't go well at all because her father has an ultra-modern security system that traps him in the vault. To make matters worse, the alarm goes off, and the police arrive, leading to his arrest, but not before they ask him to raise his hands to put on the handcuffs.
Drop your weapon! This is your last warning. Drop your weapon!
Those aren't weapons, those are his hands!
All right, cuff him.
Meanwhile, Kim asks Jim to turn himself into the police and tell the truth, but he refuses because he's afraid his dad will get mad at him and just punish him. Peg feels guilty about everything that's happening. Now Edward ends up being hated by public opinion. The neighbors gossip, and doctors spread the word that Scissorhands is a danger to society. But the good thing is that at least his adoptive family continues to defend him at all times. After that, Kim shows up and not only thanks him for not telling the truth, but also gets emotional when the guard tells him that he did all of that just because she asked him to.
Must have been awful when they told you whose house it was.
I knew it was Jim's house.
Well, then why'd you do it?
Because you asked me to.
The bad thing is, right after that, Jim shows up and they start arguing until she tells him to leave.
I did what I could.
You could tell the truth.
So could you. You were there too.
You know I didn't want to do it.
But you did do it.
And as our guy gets more and more jealous of the situation, he ends up going to the bathroom and starts breaking everything in sight, including the curtains. After that, Bill comes in and asks what he would do if he found a briefcase full of money on the street. to which he responds that he would give it to his loved ones.
Give it to my loved ones?
Edward, it does seem that that's what you should do, but it's not.
But that wasn't the correct answer, apparently. So after arguing for a while, Kim defends him, and everything turns out fine. The thing is, as the days go by, the neighbors talk worse and worse about Edward and the family, and even decide not to attend the Christmas party organized by Peg.
What did you say to Peg about the Christmas party?
I said I hoped we could make it.
I lied too.
But still, the family starts preparing the Christmas tree and the whole celebration. Later, Kim hears music outside, so after seeing that Edward was making an ice sculpture, she starts dancing as if nothing mattered. And so, the most iconic scene of the movie is born. But then Jim arrives and causes a scene. He tries to force Kim to leave with him, but Edward steps in to defend her. In the attempt to help her escape from Jim, he accidentally injures her with his scissors. Despite this, he decides to run away, believing himself to be the villain who ruins everything. At that moment, Kim finally confesses to Jim that she doesn't love him.
Jim, I don't love you anymore. I just want you to go, okay? Just go!
Edward continues to flee, so he decides to remove the clothes they dressed him in, destroy everything he lovingly built, and seek revenge on those who had mocked him. After that, he shows up at Kim's house, and it seems she missed him. She asks him to hug her, and as he does, our character remembers his creator once again, especially the time he had crafted human hands for him. But just after giving them to him, and seeing the excitement in his creation's eyes, his creator simply passed away. Meanwhile, Jim is having drinks with his friend, and as the alcohol goes to his head, he asks his friend to drive him to see his ex-love. Both being drunk, his friend struggles to handle the car properly, and just as they're about to hit Kevin, Edward appears and saves him. Chaos ensues as the town mistakenly believes Edward harmed poor Kevin. Edward escapes again after taking a good hit from Jim. The good thing is that at least Peg continues to defend him, along with the police who don't see him as a threat to the town because they follow him to the mansion and tell all the neighbors that they have already shot him to calm them down because the people will not stop until they see blood. Kim decides to visit Edward at the mansion, and just after talking to him for a while, the same Jim appears seeking revenge, and starts to beat him so much that he almost kills him. And since our character is too good, he does not defend himself or anything until he tries to hit her, and then he ends up killing him. And just after that, they give each other the long-awaited kiss.
Goodbye.
Kim exits the mansion covered in blood and informs everyone that both Jim and Edward sadly passed away.
Is he in there?
He's dead. They killed each other. See?
Finally, we see the elderly woman from the beginning, who concludes Edward Scissorhands' tale by remembering him as a kind man she never saw again but cherished dearly. Meanwhile, Edward flourishes as an artist, sculpting snow and hoping to reunite with his beloved someday. That wraps up Edward Scissorhands. If you liked this recap, comment below on which movie you'd like us to cover next. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our videos. Until next time.